Verify her use of affirmative action or what have you. Barack Obama, Bloomberg story. Here's the headline. Obama fails to stem middle-class slide he blamed on George W. Bush. Barack Obama claimed to campaign 4 years ago assailing President George W. Bush for wage losses suffered by the middle class. More than 3 years into Obama's own presidency, those declines have only deepened. That's the lead. And Bloomberg is a state-controlled media outlet. The rebound from the worst recession since the 1930s has generated relatively few of the moderately skilled jobs that once supported the middle class, tightening the financial squeeze on many Americans, even those who are employed. John Forsyth, 58, a railroad car inspector and a political independent from Lebanon, Ohio, said it started long before Obama, but he hadn't done anything. He kept pushing this change. He hadn't done anything. Underlying the erosion of the middle class are trends that stretch back decades, including the competition from lower wage workers overseas, technological advances that allow factories and offices to produce more with less labor. Don't mention anything here about the illegal immigrant population. Here's the story on Walmart moms. And I mentioned this the first hour. This is ABC News. And what happened here is that two different groups, one a Republican polling group, the other a Democrat, assembled some focus groups of Walmart moms. And ABC News has the story. Now, what is a Walmart mom? Have you ever heard of a Walmart mom politically? We've heard soccer moms and NASCAR dads and all this. Here's what a Walmart mom is. A Walmart mom is defined as a voter with kids under 18 living at home who shops at Walmart at least once a month. And political consultants say that Walmart moms are a sought-after demographic. And even more important, the women engaged in this online discussion were from the key battleground states of Florida, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. The discussion was moderated by Public Opinion Strategies, a Republican polling firm, and Momentum Analysis, a Democrat firm. And what they found was that these women are hurting financially. What amazes me is that they had to discover that people are hurting financially. That this might not have occurred to them. Maybe it did. But of course, nothing can ever be assumed from common sense. You can't assume that people are hurting when unemployment's over 9%. You can't assume people are hurting when their homes are underwater. You can't assume people are hurting when their homes are being foreclosed on. Nope, you have to somehow substantiate it. So they did. And they get focus groups assembled of these Walmart moms. ABC News says, if you want to know why Americans are frustrated and fed up with Washington, I present Exhibit A, the debate between Democrats and Republicans over bin Laden. I don't have the author of this story. I don't know who wrote this story. It's just from ABC News. Democrats suggest that Mitt Romney may not have had the guts to take out the al-Qaeda leader, while Republicans sniff that the president's public preening over the successful operation's unseemly. Americans, meanwhile, have been very clear that they want the candidates to fix the economy, not one-up each other on their anti-terrorism credentials. In January of this year, 51% of Americans polled by the ABC News Washington Post unit said that the economy was the single most important issue in their choice for president. A paltry 2% picked the issue of terrorism and national security. 8 years ago, in the first presidential campaign after the 9/11 attacks, 22% of Americans said terrorism was their top concern. Today, it's the GDP, not Osama bin Laden driving this election. And as many Americans feel that Washington doesn't understand or appreciate just how tough the economy has been on them. Nowhere is this frustration more evident than among a group of 29 mothers brought together by Walmart for an online discussion about the economy and the upcoming election. These Walmart moms, defined as a voter with kids under 18 living at home who shop at Walmart at least once a month, are a sought-after demographic. Now, there is a quote. There's a singular quote in this story. that stands out. Walmart moms are frustrated with the state of the country, but they are skeptical about Washington's ability to address the key issues that will have a positive, tangible impact on their household. Now, you know me. I have, on this program, repeatedly defined the people who make this country work. And it's apparently people like this in this ABC story. They're anonymous. They get up every day. They do the best they can to play by the rules, do the best they can to live as morally proper a life as they can. They care about their kids. They try to keep them sheltered from all the pitfalls that are awaiting them out there. Nobody's perfect, and these people clearly aren't, but they're not seeking fame, and they're not seeking any kind of notoriety. They just, the great unwashed. They're anonymous. Nobody knows who they are. But they're the ones who get up every day and go to work, make this whole thing churn, make it happen. And they are frustrated. This is Tea Party, by the way, too. Let me add that. And they are frustrated with the state of the country. They may not know, in an ideological sense, why. But they know that this isn't right. They know that this is not how things get done in America. They know that all of this gigantic government is not going to fix their lives. They know it. They may not be able to tell you why in a conservative versus liberal way, although my objective is that one day they be able to. Because I think if we ever get to the point where people are steeped in ideological understanding, and that's it for liberalism. If people could simply understand liberalism 50% as well as I do, it'd be the end of it. But that's a big project. I mean, it can illustrate that. You go back to the 1980s, robust economic growth, lowering taxes. It was all there and people lived it. And yet the Democrats for 50 years have been playing this class warfare stuff, the evil rich, stealing from the middle class. They never change. They say the same stuff over and over, year after year, election after election. And despite their policies never working, people continue to still vote for them. Their policies never work. The latest volume in a 4 or 5 volume series on Lyndon Johnson just came out yesterday. It's by Robert Caro. And I downloaded it, and between power failures and Wi-Fi screeching tone UPS fries and so forth, I had enough time to read the foreword. And it was eye-opening, even for me, because the foreword described, of course, what's coming in the book, laid out the premise of the book, the period of time in Johnson's life the book would deal with, and spoke of his Civil Rights Act, war on poverty, and Great Society as the single greatest, best thing that has ever happened in America. And the author, Robert Caro, even admits none of it worked. And it was still the greatest thing since life. I mean, not just the greatest thing. The superlatives used to describe this are these policies and plans by Lyndon Johnson and how he did it, being hated by the Kennedys, being relegated to obscurity as vice president, desiring to be president all of his life, and finally realizing that when they made him vice president, it was over. And then one day in Dallas changes everything, and all of a sudden there he is as president. It's time to get even with all these people who were trying to shut him up and end his career. It was time to go transform America, pick up where FDR left off. And this guy, Caro, writes of Johnson. The press doesn't talk about Obama the way this guy was describing Lyndon Johnson in the foreword of this book, or the introduction, I forget which. Just I don't have the words, and I don't have his words in front of me. I don't have the book in front of me to describe the way he was talking about the Great Society and the war on poverty, while admitting, sadly, none of it worked. But it's still the best damn thing ever. All it did was destroy the families of poor people, particularly minorities in this country. The very intended recipients of all this great stuff were the ones harmed the greatest by Lyndon Johnson and his ideas. And it's still to this day, those policies, plans, programs, war on poverty, Great Society, they are still wreaking havoc with people to this day. Medicare and Medicaid, Lyndon Johnson. Greatest damn things ever came down to the fact that it never works. And yet, even when it fails, it's the best thing ever. Because of the great personalities and the great people who wanted it to work and who came up with the ideas. Good, big-hearted, brilliant politician liberals. It was. Well, I want to say sickening, but my point here is these Walmart moms don't look. They know something's wrong. They know that government's the problem. They don't know why. They just know it doesn't work.